Good morning, good afternoon, good evening at some point. Thank you for joining. We're retitling it Water Wisdom Wednesdays. Say that 10 times fast. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Francesco. Hope all's well.
Yeah, great. Nice to be here again. So we're doing our second webinar. General theory is that we should be a little slicker and better at it, but I still think last one was pretty good, don't you?
Well, yeah, but what do we know?
That's it. Not Christopher Nolan, are we? We're not going to be doing a premiere. So we're going to be talking about water coolers because everyone's really excited by that. How smart is your water dispenser fleet? And I think the general consensus is at the moment, most people's fleets are kind of dumb because they're not connected. So we're going to talk about how you can make your fleet smart and also increase value in the operation across different touch points, which is a little bit of a departure from the buildings work that we did last time on the last webinar.
Yeah.
So the opening premise is that pretty much everybody who's operating a fleet of dispensers, and this could be anything from, basic point of use units in the corner through to integrated tap systems or refill stations in hospitality. You know how many you've got, you know where they are, and you know when they don't work when the customer calls. That's essentially the situation that we're facing at the moment, I think. And what we are offering is some insight on how to change essentially all of those things and make the park, as we call it, smarter and give value to the customer. So, as we know, Drupal measures water through any pipe, and then we tell it that it's attached to a particular asset, and then the data that you get is relevant there. So the first thing, I think the easiest thing to talk about is filter management, because at the moment the situation is you put a filter in and estimate how much water is going to go through it in 6 months and then change it. I don't know what you think, Steve, but it seems like it's a pretty sensible thing to do, an easy thing to do, but it doesn't really come with a lot of insight.
Yeah, but there's nothing new in any of this, really. It's just we're bringing it into the water realm, if you like. And the fact that we've got these great low power wireless systems means we can move the data a lot better. I wrote a planned maintenance scheme for a hospital over 40 years ago, or, every so often, rather than going and twiddling a valve every 3 months. Then what we can do now is see whether that valve needs twiddling.
Perfect. Tell you what, Steve, I mean, to write a plan for a hospital for a maintenance plan when you're only 8 or 9 years old is really it's pretty good going.
Well, it's all to do with the square root of -1, which we engineers call J and you mathematicians call I.
Well, I think that's the shift that needs to happen for people to adopt Drupal for the filter maintenance, is that it's very, I'm not saying it's easy, but if you install 50 coolers and you put 50 filters on, you just have a schedule that in 6 months you replace them. I don't want to call it danger, but I think the thing that people aren't considering is that you've got no idea how much water's gone through that filter. We're all guessing. And it was the same with coffee machines, which we'll do another session on at some point. But everyone's just guessing. So this filter is good for 10,000 liters. We think that 10,000 liters have gone through. You're not changing it when it needs it, changing it when we're guessing. And Drupal will tell you exactly how much water's gone through. And of course, if you've got a customer with multiple coolers across different floors and areas, some are going to be used more than others, but no one really knows. So this will enable on a platform for you to have a schedule of works and be able to sort them not only on when you think it's going to expire, but also in the platform using the data will give you a predicted expiry date based on the average use since it was installed. So there's definitely value there because you can extend the life of filters or increase the capacity when you go and change them. The second thing, actually, and we've talked about this before, Steve, is how much is a cubic meter of water? Do people know? I don't think your average person in the street does, actually. I think we're around £3.50 as an average. But when you put a coffee machine in, or a vending machine, or something that's dispensing something for money, there's a value associated to that 200 or 500 mils of liquid. When you have a point of use dispenser, there's not your customer doesn't really apportion value to what's happening. So they just see a cost of X amount per month. And it is to them a cost, an operational cost rather than a benefit. If you have Drupal, if you have a smart fleet, you can report, sorry, wrong finger over there. You can report on the screen and give people and give the customer visibility of what's happening minute by minute, day by day, hour by hour, however you want to report it, and say, look, you have dispensed 10,568 liters of water in the last X amount of time. And that is the equivalent to however many plastic bottles, or that is the equivalent carbon saving of X. But even just the volume dispensed, people often don't know. They have a water cooler in the corner, and the only time they ever think about it is when someone comes and says, it's not cold or it's not dispensing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably the same with real estate, right?
Well, water falls out the sky, right? So what's the cost of that?
Exactly. So they just see a box, there's water coming out of it, and it just costs me X amount per month to provide that for my employees or for my visitors or for my guests or residents, whatever it may be. So being able to actually have specifics, especially come contract renewal time, when someone says, well, look, I've got 48 dispensers. Do they need 48 dispensers? Maybe there's one on floor 8, zone C, that gets used twice a week. Maybe that would be better sited somewhere else where there's huge demand. Without data, no one knows. I've been in and around the water dispenser industry for years. I don't know of any operators that send a nice retired uncle out to sit in a premises for a week and with a little clicker and report back on how many people are using it and how often, which is essentially what this does. I mean, imagine knowing what's happening. So that's another benefit. Without data, people don't know what's going on. And this is live, which then leads us on to, I like to call it the golden imagination realm, where we're like, how good could it get? And how good it can get is sending a technician into a place to check on a water cooler before your customer actually phones in a fault. So you've had some experience with that with the real estate side. It's the same sort of value.
Well, we're getting into Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy territory now, where the smart lifts could see into the future. so they'd be there when you wanted them.
Oh, imagine that. Smart maintenance, predictive maintenance. Our cars do it. Our cars tell us actually the way that you're driving. Steve, you're going to need to take it in for a service in 6 months, not 3, because you're driving well. And then it tells me I need to be in there weekly because I'm a little heavy on the accelerator and the brake. But knowing what's going on, especially with some of the more complicated units, the integrated tap systems that do carbonation and heating as well, having visibility on how those units are performing and how much has gone through them will help people schedule their maintenance. So it's not, I think what we're saying is it's not more data for the sake of it, it's better decisions.
And then springing off of that, if you've got all this data about the different water dispensing users, you got more data to reinforce how people move around your building, when and where. And that can have knock-on effects for all sorts of safety things as much as anything else.
Yes. That's a difficult one to talk about, is the knock-on effects. And I think we touched on that when we were talking about real estate, is as soon as you have one benefit, you then find another one accidentally just by having data. So leaks, units not working, just having live data and being able to see it on a screen will give operators an edge over those that don't have the data. So the service, I think, is important. I mean, like I said, being able to go in and just say, oh, we noticed that this one, the flow rate had gone down, or the temperature was up a little bit, or just because of how much is being used, we were going to come and service it early. Saying things like that to a customer really adds value. Being able to share the use of what's actually going through the unit will add value. And then it makes the whole operation more sustainable. So you've done some work then with sharing, on the real estate side about how engineers are deployed or maintenance teams are deployed. It's the same theory with water coolers. So
yeah, and especially if you've got to travel somewhere, but you've got a fixed contract, if you can save those mobilizations of people, then the contract's going to bear more fruit for you.
Absolutely. And being able to share your actions with a customer as well. Say, look, this is the data that we've got, and this is what we're doing. We're saving journeys. Everyone's on a journey to save costs. If you can avoid sending somebody out, or you can combine a journey because actually you've seen on your system that there's a filter about to expire at another site 3 miles up the road, why not do it now rather than wait and send someone specifically just to do it? So I guess it's not any different to real estate or operations. It's the same theory. It's not data just to have it because it's nice and we can look at it on a spreadsheet. It's data because we have the ability then to make our actions more efficient and smarter.
Yeah.
And add value for the customer.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's the number one.
Yeah. I can't remember how long we said we were going to do this for, but I think we said 10 minutes, and I think we're pretty much up, probably a bit beyond. So if you're still with us, thank you.
Yep.
Any closing thoughts, Steve?
Oh, you've caught me on the hop now. I'm having to think. Yeah, you're right. As I touched on earlier on, none of this is new, but it's about understanding that doing this stuff for water, it can be as important as doing it for electricity and gas and what have you.
Mm-hmm. So it's weird because normally we talk about saving water on the real estate side, and what we're doing now with dispensers is kind of not necessarily saving it. Obviously, if there's a leak, you save it, but it's adding a value onto what's actually being dispensed. So shifting, I think, the perception of that thing costs me X per month to, wow, look at what it's delivering. And that's a shift that any salesperson or any maintenance team or any account manager in water coolers would like a customer. That's a good shift and journey for them to go on because it will make those negotiations a lot easier. Cool.
But if these are in an office, it's doing this properly, or it's people buying plastic bottles of water that are more expensive than diesel for your car.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Smart water. It's not that smart, is it?
We are.
We are.
I think it might say so on our logo.
That's true. Cool. Well, thank you, Steve. We will convene again next Wednesday.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.